Oh man, I lost to Ashley at Fantasy this week and we made a deal that whoever loses has to cook dinner. I have no idea how to cook. I don't know what to do.
I might have something for you. Have you tried HelloFresh?
What's that?
HelloFresh has you covered with everything you need delivered right to your door, so you can meal plan with peace of mind. HelloFresh has loads of different meals to choose from, so you're definitely not left short of options. Cook delicious and healthy meals in less than 20 minutes, as HelloFresh allows you to prepare meals quickly and easily.
Wow, how did you manage that?
Get 50% off your first box and 35% off your next 3. And in addition to that, you can gift 3 free gifts to a friend using our code TottenhamTV.
What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV. A nice break in the World Cup today and tomorrow, and we've got a Tottenham update for you, a few transfer rumours, a few quotes on Harry Kane, and an injury update on Rodrigo Bentancur. But let's start off with the transfer rumours, and let's start off with Denzel Dumfries. Corriere dello Sport reporting that Tottenham could look to snap up Dumfries in January and loan him back to Inter Milan until the end of the season. And the same publication followed on with a report a few hours later saying that Denzel Dumfries is expected to leave Inter Milan this January, with the Italian club needing to raise funds. Chelsea and Tottenham are the two strong favourites to sign him. In terms of Inter Milan needing to raise funds, where have I heard that one before?
Yeah, we always hear that. Literally every single transfer in Inter Milan is short money, need to raise funds. We heard last summer they had to sell, and they didn't really end up selling anyone big last summer. In fact, they ended up bringing Romelu Lukaku without selling anyone. So I don't know how desperate they really are. We always hear it from Inter Milan. But in terms of Dumfries, it would be disappointing if we signed him and then had to loan him back for 6 months, because we need him now if we're gonna sign him. Obviously, he's doing very well at the World Cup. He's been pretty good for Inter. I still have my reservations about him, but I do think he's much better than what we have now. And I think he could be. I don't know if he's the answer, but I think he's an upgrade. And so I think whenever there's an upgrade available, you have to seriously look at it. And I think he's better than Emerson and he's better than Matt Doherty. And look what he did against USA. He was absolutely brilliant. I think 2 assists and a goal. He gets forward really well. But it's just the other side of his game I do have reservations about. But I think he's a good player.
It's an interesting one with Dumfries, because I've made it no secret that I'd love him at Tottenham Hotspur, but I'm hearing noises out of Inter Milan, their fan base especially, seeing as they don't rate him that highly, and that worries me a little bit. I don't think he's had the greatest season so far this year with Inter Milan, and I think that's the reason for it. But whenever I've seen him on the world stage in World Cups, Euros, for the Netherlands, I think he's been sensational, really. And when you're looking at him compared to any other our right wing backs, I mean, he just offers something that they just can't.
Yeah, and I guess it depends on the kind of money they're going to be demanding. And I think it is a case of, if it's a case of it's a cheap deal and we can replace Emerson for him, I think it's worth doing. But if he's going to be very, very expensive and all of a sudden he's going to have to be our right wing back for a few years because he's cost so mumuch money, then I don't know if it's worth doing, or it's worth waiting 6 months and see if we can get someone better in the summer. But I do think he's an upgrade. And it's a weird one because, as you say, he does really well on the world stage. But sometimes there are these players who step up in international tournaments, but when it comes to consistently week in, week out on club level, they're not quite the same level. And maybe he's one of those.
Well, we'll have to see how this one plays out. I'm guessing we'll hear much more about this in January. But let's move on. Let's talk about another right wing back in Pedro Porro. A publication called Record Portugal, obviously from Portugal, say that Juventus, Tottenham, Real Madrid and Barcelona are favourites to sign Pedro Porro. I mean, in terms of those clubs, where do you put us in the pecking order?
Top, mate. Come on. He's dreamt of playing for Spurs ever since he was a young boy in Madrid. He's dreamt of playing for Spurs.
Ever since he saw Jose Dominguez pull on that white shirt.
Exactly. I like Pedro Porro. I think he's been really good for Sporting Lisbon. I was really impressed when he played against us. And I also don't think he would have to break the bank to sign him. So I do like the look of him. But again, if there's other parties interested, then it's going to be a tough sell. But I definitely think I'd rather him than Dumfries, even though he didn't go to the World Cup. I think he's a bit younger. And I don't know, I like the look of him a bit more than Dumfries.
You know, I was literally about to ask you that question. Who would you prefer, either Dumfries or Pedro Porro? And I agree with you, I think. I think I would prefer Pedro Porro as well. But, you know, when we've got Emerson, Doherty, we'd like to get rid of both and bring in both. That would be the ideal scenario, to be honest.
Oh, imagine that. That would be fantastic. I can't see that happening.
No,
but that would be the ideal.
Yeah, but that's the situation. Spurs apparently looking at both right wing backs in Dumfries and Pedro Porro. Let me know in the comment section below which one you would prefer Spurs to bring in through the door. And let's move on. Let's talk about Frank Kessie of Barcelona. A publication called Sport saying that Tottenham are favourites to sign Frank Kessie. Spurs have made direct contact with Barcelona about signing the midfielder with an option to buy. Antonio Conte knows him well and could make an effort to get him through the door. Obviously, look, we all know Frank Kessie is an unbelievable midfielder, but I just can't see this one being a viable option with Bentancur here, with Højbjerg here, and with Yves Bissouma here as well. I just can't see us making a move for Kessie.
I mean, after 6 months, is he really going to leave Barcelona? He joined on a free for obviously probably on big wages as well because it was a free transfer. I don't see Kessie being that quick to jump aboard jump off the Barcelona ship just yet. I don't see why after 6 months. It's quite drastic, I would say. Although if it is a loan, maybe it's more understandable just get some football, but why would we loan him? I don't think we need him for a loan. It doesn't make sense to me why that would happen, although can you turn down the player of Kessie's quality, even though if it is a loan? But it just doesn't seem like a deal that seems viable right now. I know he's struggling to get into the team with the likes of Busquets, Frankie de Jong, Gavi and Pedri occupying the centre midfield spots at the moment for Barcelona. But I think with a bit more patience, he can break into that team once Busquets is, he's getting on a bit. He's not going to last forever. He's going to take his place. And I think Kessie will be a success of Barcelona. And I just think right now, maybe the links are because he's getting a bit agitated by his lack of game time or whatever. But I don't see this being a viable move for either party right now.
I completely agree, to be honest. But again, we'll just have to see how it plays out.
I would love it though.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's a top quality player, but I think that we looked at him in the summer. Obviously, he ended up going to Barcelona, and then we signed Yves Bissouma instead. So, I mean, they're exactly the same position, aren't they? So I just can't see him coming through the door. Yeah, I would love to have him both. That's 4 midfielders. Yeah. Of top quality, as well as Ollie Skipp in there as well. That's some midfield.
I wouldn't say no to that.
Next up, Anthony Gordon. Those links coming around once again. And Paul Brown, journalist, says that Tottenham are still interested in Anthony Gordon, and Antonio Conte in particular really likes the winger. What do you think about Gordon?
I like him, but I don't know. I think he's a good backup for maybe Kulusevski or on the left side as well. He's probably a good backup of both, or even a wing back. I reckon he could be quite a good wing back. But I mean, the money we're talking about, I just don't think he's worth it. I really don't. If you're talking 50, 60 million, and I just don't think he's that good. I think he's a good player, but I don't know. I don't think he's worth the money. Everton are demanding. He's their star boy. They rely heavily on him. He's going to cost a lot of money, and he is a hard worker. He does all the right things in that sense. So Conte will like him, but for me, I think there are much better options there for much cheaper, in my opinion. And if you're going to spend 50, 60, might as well spend it on Gakpo. Why spend it on Gordon? It doesn't make sense to me.
Tejan Buchanan. Would you prefer Gordon or Buchanan?
Buchanan, because he's cheaper. And I think he's probably better.
Yeah, I mean, look, I like Anthony Gordon. I really do. It just depends on how much we can get him off Everton for. And they were talking about in excess of 50 million in the summer, and that's just not going to happen.
And it's only surely he's gone up.
Yeah, he's definitely got better this season, hasn't he? So
and they've got more reliant on him. So I don't see Gordon being a viable one for Spurs with that kind of money. I think there are so many better options who are better on the ball than Anthony Gordon.
Let's move on. Let's talk about Harry Kane. Sky Germany are saying that Harry Kane's future will be impacted by how Tottenham do this season and whether Antonio Conte commits to a new contract. The Spurs hierarchy, though, are confident that their talisman, Harry Kane, will put pen to paper on a contract extension. What are you thinking about Harry Kane? I mean, time is ticking.
Yeah, we know that there's a lot of uncertainty around him and Conte, and I think it's all up in the air at the moment. Obviously, he's still at the World Cup, so nothing's going to happen while he's out there. And England looking good, and they've got a good chance of actually going all the way this time. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. And again, it's obvious to us that they're closely linked, Conte and Kane, about their futures, and I think it all just be decided as what happens this season. I think of how we end the season and how the project is looking and all that kind of stuff. You know, if Conte is convinced that we're going to push ahead and back him and actually try and challenge the top teams for a league title, then I'm sure Kane will be convinced to stay. If not, then he'll definitely have second thoughts, and even if it means a move, I don't know. I mean, I can't see him moving abroad, but if no one's going to pay for him in England, then I can't even see maybe him having a couple years abroad just to win some titles and stuff. I wouldn't even be that surprised if he really believes Tottenham isn't going to be the future. But it's up to us to convince him, because he's doing his part. He's been brilliant. He's apart from last summer when he tried to leave, he's pretty much been fantastic his whole time at Tottenham. And I think Spurs need to do their utmost to convince him. I think we can. I think we're right to be confident, because I think the team is progressing, and I'm hoping that we can convince Conte. But if it does start to fall apart, then you've got to be worried.
With the likes of Newcastle coming around, Manchester United and Liverpool potentially getting new owners, it's going to be difficult, and this is why a big reason why I was so frustrated with the summer business that we did do, because we could have pushed the boat out a little bit more, got those defenders and right wing backs in to really push us on and solidify our place in that top four this season, and potentially even have a little bit of a title challenge. And we didn't do that, and now we are suffering a little bit this season, especially with the injuries that we did have in the first half of the season. Hopefully we can just kick on and push on and get some signings in January that can really push us on this season to convince Harry Kane and Conte to stay at the football club. But it all remains to be seen. Again, we're going to have to wait and see what happens. But we do have a few quotes on Harry Kane. First of all, up from Jude Bellingham. He says, "Whenever it matters and whenever it starts to get a little bit bigger, he always steps up. It's a pleasure to play with someone who has that much quality and that much experience." Bukayo Saka says that Harry Kane is inevitable. He's always going to score goals. I was never worried about that. He's been exceptional for us. He is like the glue of the team when he links up the attacks. Brazil World Cup winner Cleverson named Harry Kane the best striker in the world, and he says, "I do consider it, because he is a central forward who does not create, who does not just score goals but creates, and he makes other players grow within the game." And last but not least, Didier Drogba says that, "I love what he is doing with England. I see him coming deep and being involved in the game, holding the ball and releasing it. I love it. He is really smart and he does so much good work for the team." So Harry Kane getting all the plaudits from all around the world, really.
I'm glad he's getting the recognition his quality deserves. See, I think he's been quality this tournament. I saw him coming in for criticism early on from England fans. There were some England fans interviewed on TV out in Qatar saying he needs to be dropped. He's not doing enough. He's in the team to score goals. It's like, these people just don't understand football. These people don't understand what he brings to the team. If you watch him, everything he does is pure class, and he literally brings other players into play. And like against Wales, against Senegal, like the first two goals, he's doesn't officially get an assist, but he pretty much makes them. For those first two goals against Wales, he gets a brilliant assist. Against Iran, he got a brilliant assist. Like, this guy is laying them on a plate non-stop this whole tournament, and he did finally get his first goal. And I think we've been seeing it for Tottenham for a long time, how he's the complete striker, and I'm happy he's showing it for England on the world stage now.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's like the conductor of that England side. He's the conductor of that Spurs side. And for all these people that say that he needs to be dropped, that's the classic case of show me that you don't know much about football. You know that saying. What's that saying?
Show me you don't know anything about football without telling me you don't know.
Exactly, that's the one. That's the one. And that's a classic case of that, isn't it? And when you're looking at Harry Kane, out of the England squad this World Cup, he's got the most goal contributions in the whole squad. So you can't look away from that.
He's been brilliant. I don't think England are half as effective without. I don't think they look half as good without him. And I like people calling for Callum Wilson. Trust me, Callum Wilson cannot do what Kane can do. I can guarantee you that. And he might Callum Wilson might be on 1 or 2 goals if he was starting every game, but England wouldn't look half as effective going forward if it wasn't for Kane. I'm telling you that.
Absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on. Let's go to an injury update from Rodrigo Bentancur. We all saw him hobble off the pitch in that first half of the Uruguay game last week, and Paul O'Keefe says that Rodrigo Bentancur is expected to be out between 3 to 4 weeks with a torn abductor. We also got our own info on that, saying he should be out for about 3 weeks. Not to forget that he is suspended for the first game back against Brentford, so hopefully he should be back very soon after that.
Yeah, it's not a massive problem, because hopefully, as he's already suspended, hopefully he won't miss too many games that he should have. Maybe he'll miss 1 or 2. Hopefully he'll be back for Villa on New Year's Day. I guess he'll be touch and go for that one at the moment. But look, the way he ended his first of all, the way he was playing the World Cup and the way he ended the first part of the season playing for Spurs, he was absolutely incredible. And he was so integral to how we were playing. He was actually getting goals, starting to get goals and assists. He was defensively, we know how good he was. So we need him back as soon as possible. Obviously, he's very, very important for our team. But thankfully, the injury isn't too bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what a World Cup he had, by the way.
Oh, brilliant. Absolutely
Such
brilliant.
a shame for him that he got injured.
Yeah, I mean, they did go out. Was it that they went out that day, didn't they?
Yeah.
Maybe if he was on, it would have been a different story. But is what it is.
They needed 1 goal, didn't they? Maybe they probably would have got it.
Look, it is what it is. I, for one, are kind of happy that he came back to Tottenham. I know he's injured, but at least he's not going to be going deep into the tournament and getting more tired and tired. So that's Rodrigo Bentancur. Let's talk about Ollie Skipp now, as Ali Gold has said to us that people within the game, within the England setup, within the Tottenham setup, think that he's going to be a very big Premier League player. Also, they say that from everything that he hears, he's kind of topping all the fitness charts in training the majority of the time, Ollie Skipp. Seeing as Ollie Skipp, obviously he had a very good season last year before he got that big injury. This year we've got new midfielders with Yves Bissouma. Is it going to stunt his progression at all?
Maybe, but it's up to him to win his place back. It's all well and good talking about stunting progression, but if he's not good enough to be starting, then you have to play who's playing well at the moment. And at the moment, when he's got his chance, he hasn't quite done it. And this season, and that's not to knock him and say he's not good enough, but at the moment you're playing, you've got better players, so what can you do? You need to play the players who are showing more quality, and I'm sure Ollie Skipp will prove it in the long term. He's still young, 21, 22. So I'm sure in the long term he's going to be a big player for us. But when you've got players like Bentancur playing like they are, I mean, there's no room for him at the moment, and I wouldn't advocate resting or dropping one of those to play Ollie Skipp just to help him progress. I would want Bentancur and Højbjerg to play because they're our best chance at the moment. But Ollie Skipp will have a big future at Tottenham. He will be a big player and big believer in his potential. He just is struggling a bit post injury, but maybe this time the World Cup break, a time for him to catch up individually with one-on-one time with content and his fitness. Clearly, as you say, he's topping the charts. So it's all positive, and hopefully he comes back firing after the World Cup. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, me too, man. I really love Ollie Skipp. That first half of the season last year, he was our best player and he was absolutely sensational. So hopefully he can get back to those levels and even surpass those levels. But last but not least, we've got news on friendlies happening before the season kicks off again, and Tottenham are set to play Scottish side Motherwell behind closed doors on Friday, 1 p.m. kickoff, and we will be bringing you a watch along for it. And then we will be facing Nice at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Wednesday, the 21st of January, in front of fans. So we'll bring you content all around that game as well. And exciting to get Tottenham back.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, we've still got the quarters, semis and final of the World Cup still to go. So
I'm more excited from the Motherwell friendly.
Yeah, you reckon? Maybe. Look, we will be watching it, seeing what kind of players and Conte put down. Maybe we might finally get to see Jed Spence. Surely in a friendly are we going to finally see Jed Spence? But then again, Emerson and Doxy both haven't gone to the World Cup,
exactly.
So are we not going to see Jed Spence?
Yeah, I don't know about Jed Spence, but it's going to be interesting to see the front line that we play, because all our attacking players are pretty much at the World Cup or coming back from the World Cup. When you look at Heung-min Son, you're looking at Harry Kane. Obviously, Kulusevski is the only one that is there. So who are we going to see? There's been some interesting...
Brian Hill, probably.
Yeah, Brian Hill's still there, but there's also been players that have been playing really well for the under-23 team in Jamie Donnelly and Will Lancashire, I think his name is. So hopefully we'll get to see some of these kind of players and see what they're all about. And I'm quite excited for that. But the midfield options that we got, we're probably going to see closer looks at Skippy and Bissouma, having them two in a double pivot or something like that. So watch out for Friday, man. We're going to be doing a watch long from the studio, so keep an eye out for that. But that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below if you have any thoughts regarding any of the news stories brought to you today. Thank you everyone for joining. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.